Hello and welcome to the Avonlea Chronicles podcast. This is episode 3 and it's a special episode because today is my birthday. I went to church, I finished knitting my latest design and was going to go photograph it, but it is a classic fall day here in Ontario. It is a little cold, it is gray, and it is raining. So I really wanted to go and find a nice little trail with some nice fall colored leaves to take some pictures, but I'm going to have to wait because it's raining and I do not want to take pictures in the rain. So we're here to talk all things knitting and crafting. I am just at the tail end of a viral infection. Thank you to the kids at school. They have walking pneumonia, viral infection. They're coughing left, right, and center. So yeah, I've been teaching grade 1 French immersion, just math. I co-teach with someone else. So I've been subbing for 2 weeks doing that. And don't worry, their math is in English. So I didn't have to worry about my French. But we had some fun doing patterning and equal sums, and then we did some Halloween art to get us through the week. So that's what I've been doing. I've been a little bit tired, so I haven't done much knitting. But I do have some finished objects, so let's just jump right into them. They are right here. These are my pumpkins. I showed them last time. I had finished this little one and was just in the midst of making the others. So I had bought acrylic wool from Walmart. This was just a $5 ball of whatever Walmart's house brand is. To make these, I wasn't using anything special because kids are going to touch them, handle them, they will get thrown around. The nice thing is that the kids can touch these. The 4 strands of bunting in my friend's classroom is hung up on the ceiling, and it's not a toy that they can touch. So this is really nice that the kids can actually play with these. And they've been touching them and, not throwing them around, but playing with them. So yeah, they have been a great addition. I did some modifications. There are lots of free patterns for knitting pumpkins online. So I just had found a couple and I picked one and I liked this one. It's knit flat. So I knit this one flat, but I did not like how I had to seam it up. So you knit it flat, and when you get to the length that you need, you cut off a really long tail and you feed your tail through the live stitches. So kind of like if you've made a hat and you get to the top and you have your last 6 or 8 or 12 stitches, and you feed your tail through them and pull it really tight, and it makes that nice little circle at the top. That's what you do for this, and then you seam up the side, mattress stitch, and then you pick up the cast on edge and you pull it tight. Once you stuff it, you pick up the cast on edge, pull it tight like you did to the other side, and then you feed your needle with the tail through the middle, and then pull up the tail on the outside, pull up that strand on the outside. And that's what, you can kind of see it there. There's a strand. That's what makes the little sections. I did not like knitting this flat. So I was like, I can knit this in the round. Then I don't have to worry about my knits and purls. I just do the same thing round and round. And then I did the same thing. I didn't have to tie it or seam up the side. So when I did my long tail cast on, left a really long tail to pull and cinch the cast on edge. And then when I got to the top and I stuffed it, I used my really long tail to pick up the cast or the live stitches, pull them really tight, and then same thing, once it's stuffed, I put the long tail, I just feed it through, and it's kind of just like you're sewing around, bringing that strand through on the garter stitch to make the sections. So this was like 35 stitches. This I did 60 some odd. This one I did 90. So yeah, they turned out really great. All I did was crochet a little stock for the top. You could, I don't know how to crochet. I'm sure it's probably really easy. Those like spiral bookmarks, I'm sure you could do some small little crochet spirals too, to be like the little curly vine. But that was what I did with this. This was one ball of the Walmart brand of their wool, which was like acrylic wool. It was like $4 and some odd cents Canadian. So like $5 for the ball of wool. Had like 280 some odd yards on it. And it made these 3. The kids love them. I came in on Tuesday after Thanksgiving. I just like sneakily put them in the basket with the other pumpkin. Didn't like show my colleague, didn't say anything. But when I came back at snack time to make tea, the kids were like, thank you for the pumpkins. They have been loving being able to touch them and play with them. I also said to my colleague, you can use them for math, for teaching small, medium, large, like size. So yeah, this was really great, really fun. And they love the colors. Like I kind of liked, and I made sure this was the top of the pumpkin. I kind of liked how the small one was orange and yellow. The medium one was the pinky purple. And then this one had both colors in it. So yeah, they turned out so great. I'll take them back to school tomorrow. The kids won't even know that they're gone. So yes, that was exciting. And then I've been knitting my new design, which I will show in a little bit. The other thing I've been working on is this cross stitch. This is a gift for someone. I took a really special picture and I put it into a website that transposes pictures to cross stitch patterns, and I could pick the size. So this is 120 stitches across by 100 and some odd down. I could also pick the number of colors. There are 20 colors in this. It is taking me way longer than I ever anticipated, but cross stitch is way slower than knitting. So it's probably going to be a Christmas present at this point, but I'm loving how it's turning out. So this will be probably the last time you see it. I will, once I'm done it and I've given it, I might see if I can borrow it back just to show off the completed thing, maybe with the picture. But yeah, my intention is to frame it, and then I've already printed off the picture and written a little note and laminated it, so that'll go on the back of the frame once I finish and frame this. So been working on that pretty much a little bit every day. So I just finished a new design, and I think I'm thinking I'm gonna take a break for a little bit just so I can get some personal knitting done. I have not done any work on this sweater yet. This is a raglan cardigan. I'm actually super excited about it. It's real like woolly wool, so right now it's like a little rough, but I'm hoping that once it's done and I block it in Eucalan, it will soften. Yeah, I just haven't been able to work on this. It's also been so freaking hot here. every day has been like plus 20 degrees. I kid you not. By like midday, it's plus 20 degrees. I go to work with a coat, and by the time I have to do lunch duty or yard duty outside, I'm just in my sweater. So I've not even wanted to work on this. So yeah, but the winters here are long, so I will work on this and I will have it ready for the middle of winter. Just would have been nice to wear it this fall, but like I feel like we are going to go right from a really, really, really warm fall, almost summer-like weather into frost and snow pretty quickly. So there won't be this nice, like magical, slightly cool days to wear a sweater like this. So I'm going to, now that I'm done my design, keep plugging away at this sweater. It should knit up pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm excited for this. And I'm just hoping I have enough wool. So that is that. I have started putting together, I don't even have the pattern at the moment. I've started putting together some scraps for the Le Granny Triangle crocheted shawl by La Bien-Aimée. I don't have a ton of scraps that are significant enough to like fully complete the shawl. These are just a few for like the very beginning. And I'm putting them in my Anne project bag. But I have laid them, last night I was laying them out to just kind of see where I might want to place some of the colors that I have. But as much as I really want to plan it, it's a little bit hard for me to envision what a scrappy shawl will look like, even with planning out the colors. So I'm just gonna start and do what I can and see where it goes. So I haven't started yet, but when I'm done podcasting, my plan is to start. But I've got like 4 bags of like scraps, but a lot of my scraps are like little bits like this, even less than this. So they're not even like really usable scraps. So yeah, I'm super excited about working on this little crocheted scrappy project, and it'll just kind of be a work in progress as I knit other things and get more scraps. So that is going to be my new project. Okay, let's talk about needles for a minute. I started with a wooden interchangeable set by Knit Picks. Loved it because it meant I didn't have to keep buying needles. And I mostly knit on circulars, but I knit so much I whittled down the tips. So in the long run, was not a good investment. Like, it was a good investment at the time, but for knitting for life, not a good investment. I did a couple of years ago for Christmas, before family Christmas went to Secret Santa. I just asked for money so I could invest in a new set of needles, and I'm looking at them, but I don't have them. They're across the room. I have the Knitter's Pride Mindful collection. I'll show them off next time. It's a beautiful collection of metal needles, and each of the sizes has like a different meditative word on it, like dream, peace, breathe. So I have that set and I love it. It's got lots of cable options, swivel cables, fixed cables, and it means I will never have to buy another set of needles again, because metal will last forever. But in looking for a set of fixed needles to do 2 at a time socks on Magic Loop. I love Chow Goo needles, but I wanted to try, I've also tried some Addy needles. I have the Addy Rocket Squared. I think I have the Addy, I think they're just called the Rocket. And they have little texture bumps on them. The Addy Rocket Squared is like a square needle. And then when these aren't my sock needles, but when I was looking for my sock needles, I saw these Addy unicorn needles. And so they are circular, like the needle shaft, I think this is called the shaft, is circular. On my Rocket Squared, they're square, they're cubes, but these ones have that little unicorn horn like twist to them and texture to them. They are, I just knit my entire new shawl on them. They are so nice to knit with. I love them. So yeah, if you are looking for a good needle, any of the Addy textured needles are amazing, but I really love these. I love the feel of these in my hands. They have a beautiful pink cable. I got a 40-inch cable. This is my favorite size to knit with, and it is a 4mm, so a US 6. It's my favorite size to design with. I have a US 6 in Chow Goo, but my sunflower shawl is on them right now. And I went for 40 inches just because I like to make my shawls big. So this gives me like ample room on the cable for all my stitches. So it's just a little needle recommendation because I was kind of trying these out just to see. They also come in a interchangeable set. So if you are looking for an interchangeable set, I would highly recommend, just because I love the texture and feel of these needles. I think it's just nice to try different needles. So if you are looking for needles, the Addy Unicorn, they're good ones. So I didn't mean to drop that, but it's okay. It's kind of Hot Mess Express here behind the scenes. I have got yarn laid out on my little chest, my chest that holds my yarn stash. I've got little balls laid out from trying to figure out my scrappy shawl. I've got the bags with the rest of the scraps like littered all over the floor. And then I've got just stuff everywhere. But that's the life of a podcaster with very limited space. So before I show off my new shawl, I thought I would do a little sorry, shawl parade, continuing on with shawls that I've designed. So this is the Kindred Spirits wrap. Sorry, I'm looking at my notebook. This was the yarn is from Midnight Cravings, and this is from their Kindred Spirits collection, which you can no longer get. The Anne colorway and the Diana colorway. So they have a whole collection. They had a whole Kindred Spirits collection based on Anne. They had these like sort of speckly, variegated colors and like a semi-solid tonal colorway for each of the main characters. So 2 colors per main characters. They had Anne, Diana, Matthew, Marilla, Rachel, Gilbert, and then at the very end they added Miss Stacy. I bought the entire collection, one of every color, last year before they closed that collection and put it away. And so I have an idea for an entire collection of patterns based on each of the characters. They're all different yarn weights. I've got worsted, DK, fingering, And I've got ideas for patterns to sort of represent each of the characters. But they had this special little set where you got a 50-gram skein of the Anne and a 50-gram of the Diana, and you got a project bag made with Anne of Green Gables fabric. And so I decided to do this little wrap. Originally, I was going for a cowl, and it ended up being way too wide for a cowl, but my knitting friends had said, do it like a wrap that you could like sort of put on sort of over your shoulders. So this is what it looks like. I really don't have a ton of space here, so sorry for the bad angles, but this is what it looks like. You knit it flat. It's just a basic seed stitch and then lace flower, and you have some little buttons at the back. I just went for these clear flower buttons. And yeah, you could wear it with the buttons at the front. You could wear it with the sort of triangle at the front. You can decide. So yeah, that was just a cute little project. You could do it all in one color if you wanted. You could do each color or each section a different color. But yeah, that was what I made with that little set that I had gotten. And that's called the Kindred Spirits Wrap. Next up on my shawl parade is a really special shawl. This is called the, let me get it the right way around, the Primachenko shawl. And I had really wanted originally to re-knit and rewrite my sunflower shawl pattern in DK weight. And I had really wanted this blue and a yellow similar from Cecily Grove's yarn. So I contacted the yarn dyer and said, hey, this is who I am. I'm, wondering about some yarn support. I would like to rewrite my pattern in DK. And she said, how about writing like a brand new pattern? And so I was like, okay. And this really isn't how I design. I don't just like sit down and think of a pattern. But I was like, okay. And at the time I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna make. But I picked these 3 colors. This is called Sun of the Blue Sky. This pink is called Jam. And then this yellow is called Patina. Now she had put Sun of the Blue Sky and Patina together for a Ukraine based kit in support of Ukraine. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with these because she didn't have the yellow that I wanted, but that's okay. So this is called the Primachenko shawl. It's knit from the bottom up, and I was inspired by the Ukrainian artist Maria Primachenko. And if you're Canadian, you might know of Maud Lewis, who is a very like folk art type of art, or like folk art, almost childlike style of art. And Maria Primachenko is the Ukrainian version of that. So I took inspiration from her artwork to and just like Ukrainian symbols to design this shawl. I was seeing in her artwork these like triangles of red berries, the Kalena berry, and so I added that in the pink to my shawl, or I started with it actually. And then I went for these sheaves of wheat. She has some art that is like wheat and bread based because The Ukrainian flag is the blue sky with the yellow sheaves, the yellow wheat fields. So I did the wheat to represent the wheat fields of Ukraine. And then the blue, I just did a really nice textured stitch. Now, when I show my next pattern, I had originally not done the right stitch pattern for the next pattern that I'm going to show. And so I had essentially like created a new stitch pattern, if I can say that. So I used that in here, and I just, I think I just called it like Bubba's embroidery. I just loved how like rhythmic and meditative this little stitch was. And it kind of reminded me, like up here you can kind of see I have some of my great grandmother's embroidery. I also have her pillows that this is my great grandmother's work. So I kind of liked just the like meditativeness of the stitch. So I used it. So that is this shawl. It is short, but the tails are really long. I love this DK, is so like buttery soft, but also really light. So I loved making this and collaborating with Cecily Grove's yarn. I had some testers test this out. And yeah, it was really nice. This, designing this and using Maria Primachenko's artwork led me down a path of like researching a bit about Maria Primachenko, looking at like countless pictures of her artwork. And yeah, I love the color combination too. Like, Ukraine has really beautifully colored houses. Like, they use a lot of color in some of their houses and lots of like folk art and painting. So I just love this design, love that I was able to connect more with my Ukrainian culture. So the next one is called the Lilia shawl. This is just a little, this is just a tiny shawl. This yarn is from Shellridge Yarns, and this colorway is called Easter Lilies. And this stitch pattern is called the Lily Stitch. And see, it's kind of got like a slip stitch. This is what I was going for. But what I ended up with was something different, because as I started to figure out the Lily Stitch while making this an asymmetrical triangle, I was one stitch off. And so actually I'm going to talk about another shawl. I don't even have it here, but there's like a second shawl called Bubba's shawl. And that was my like mistake shawl. That was the stitch pattern that I was trying to get with the Lily Stitch but didn't get, but I really liked the simple texture that it made, so I kept the pattern. And you can find it on my website. But this is the Lily shawl with the beautiful like slip stitch pattern. It's super cute. It's a one skein shawl, and I did a picot bind off. And yeah, this is just really cute, really light. This would be, or the Bubba's shawl would be, and the stitch with the Bubba's stitch is Bubba's shawl stitch is different from the Lily stitch pattern. But they'd be really great. Either pattern is super easy, great for a beginner, and would be a really great present if you were buying someone just one skein of fingering weight. That would be a really great present. So the Lilia shawl or the Bubba's shawl. Lilia is lily in French. And because the yarn was called Easter Lilies and the stitch pattern I liked was called the Lily Stitch Pattern, I went for a whole lily theme. So yeah, this is really great. This would be a really great light summer knit and wear. Or if you have someone that doesn't like big shawls around their neck, this would be perfect. Also a good gift knit if you would rather knit for someone than give them something to knit themselves. So yeah, that is that. And I think I just have, I'm just looking at my list. I think I just have 3 more shawls left, and then my little shawl parade will be finished and I'll be like all caught up on all of my previous designs that I've knit up until now. So that is exciting. And I think last but not least is my newest design. I wish I could say I've gotten more done on my sunflower shawl that's a Christmas present, but I'm waiting to hear back if I can get another 50-gram skein of each of the blue and yellow. So it is on hold, but I'm almost halfway there. I just have a few more rows of blue before I do my flowers, and then I'm just knitting the yellow, and I'm on the home stretch because it is just simple garter stitch, except for I will probably have a weekend or a few evenings where I'm really concentrating doing my flowers. But yeah, I have a month and a half because we have our family Christmas on December 14th. So hopefully I can get the yarn and then I'm just gonna have to plow through. But I've been working on it for a while. And my mistake there, excuse me, because it really was my mistake. I asked the yarn dyer for 100 gram skein, and so she gave me 250 grams, but I did not mention the yardage, and so I should have said the yardage that I needed instead of the grams because there is different yardage in 250 gram skeins than there is in 100 gram skein. So that was my mistake, but hopefully I can get some more, and I'm just gonna have to really work hard at finishing it on time for Christmas. Excuse me, this is not as worse as it's been the last 2 weeks. So I have not shared any piece of this shawl since I've started knitting it. I don't know why, but I think I just wanted to keep it to myself for the time being while I was designing. It's kind of hard. I was saying to a friend, like, I didn't ask for this gift of designing, and so sometimes it's really hard to manage I guess like all of the feelings and the creativity that comes with it. Like this Anne of Green Gables collection that I have yarn for, I know what I'm going to do for some of the designs. Like they are very clear in my mind. Others I have an idea, but I'm not entirely sure. But there's no urgency. I'm not thinking about it all the time. And then other times it's like the only thing I can think about until I start knitting. So yeah, but this one I don't know. I just wanted to keep it to myself, and it knit up really quick. I think I knit about 1 ball of yarn a week over the last 3 weeks. I will start out with, if you are knitting my pattern and you are a loose knitter, you will want to go down a needle size This is all that I have left. This is all I have left of the Anne colorway, the Gilbert colorway, and the Diana colorway. This is from the collaboration for the Mystery Sock Club with Pine and Pearl and the Kitchen Sink Shop. Kitchen Sink Shop, Garlene made this Anne bag. She's designing the sock patterns. So the sock patterns were a mystery. We got Anne on October 1st. The Gilbert sock pattern is releasing November 1st, so this coming week. And the Diana sock pattern will come out on December 1st. And then Pine and Pearl dyed the wool. She did a great job. And when I saw this, because we saw the colors of the wool first, the only thing that was a mystery is the sock patterns. I knew it had to be a 3-skein fade shawl. And I was thinking of the Powder and Dust shawl by Vera Valimaki, which is a big garter stitch triangle shawl that's a fade, 3 skeins, and it's got some lace flowers in it. I knit that and I loved it. And I use that formula for a top-down triangle all the time. So that was kind of what I was thinking of when I knit and designed this. So here it is. It's so big it won't even fit. This is called the Lover's Lane shawl. It's knit top down. And what I did was I did some little lace. This stitch is called the clover stitch. So it's actually supposed to go, the clover stitch when I found it online is supposed to go with the 1 hole at the top, the 2 on the bottom. But I couldn't figure out how to reverse engineer that at the moment. But I kind of liked how the 2 holes and then the, like, having it upside down with the 2 holes on the top and the 1 on the bottom, making that little like chevron matches the V of the shawl. Normally I would mirror what I do on one side. I would flip it and mirror it on the other, but I did not do that for this pattern. I didn't want that perfect mirrored look. Now, if this was solid colors, I would probably mirror it because it would be more obvious and it would look better if it was totally mirrored, but I liked that non-mirrored look. And you can't even really tell because of the subtle variation on the yarn. You can't even tell that it's not mirrored. But like Anne isn't perfect. So I didn't want that perfect mirrored look because to me it just didn't say Anne. Then when I was knitting, so I did a little fade into Gilbert. Now I didn't just want to do, I was thinking originally that I would just do garter stitch for Gilbert's part of the pattern, but I wanted a little bit of subtle texture, and so I just did a purl stitch on the wrong side of the row. I just did a little purl stitch, so you have this ever so slight, and I don't know if that's a stitch pattern that exists in the world. I just called it the dewdrops stitch because I figured if they're out walking in Lover's Lane that, you know, late at night or early in the morning, there'd be some dew on the leaves. Excuse me. So I just did that little subtle texture and I think it looks great. Like I really also wanted this yarn to speak for itself. Then we fade into Diana, this beautiful blue with some speckles of black for her raven black hair. And you can't really tell, but there's some pink in there. Now this is where it becomes obvious that it's not mirrored, is like down here at the bottom. But again, I didn't want that perfect like mirrored look. So it is a little like offset, but each side is exactly exactly the same. So whatever you knit up to the middle, you literally knit the exact same thing down the other side. So it's easy in that sense. It is huge. This cashmere sock, let me look at the label, sorry. It's right here. This cashmere sock base, it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. Oh, it is so soft. I'm actually so sad that I'm finished. I loved working with this. And this is just one of those moments where you're like, my dream, the vision that came through for me for this pattern is now brought to life in this shawl. And I love, like, these are not colors that I would have ever like picked for myself, let alone like for a shawl, like the very earthy sort of tones, but I love them. And I'm just so excited. I cannot wait to go photograph this. The pattern, I'm going to release the pattern today, regardless of whether or not I have pictures. So I will probably, it looks like it stopped raining. No, it hasn't. Just looking at a puddle. It's not stopped raining, but I will take some pictures over the next few days and put them up. But I'm going to post the pattern today and release it. This was like a very impromptu release. But yeah, the pattern is written. It's really ready to go. I really struggle as a designer with like, I don't know, I see a lot of people talking about test knitting, and should I test knit it? Maybe. Should I have my patterns tech edited? Probably. But I've seen recently some people talk about how they don't want to test knit because you have to supply your own yarn. You're really not getting anything out of it. Now, test knitting for a more complicated pattern, like I had this test knit and I did have a mistake in it. So like that is something that I do sometimes, is say like, oh, I need this pattern test knit. The one that I have that I haven't released yet, I will probably need test knit, or at least I'm going to rewrite some of it. That's what I'm going to do in November, is like look at it, and I think I'm going to rewrite it a little bit and then have my mom look it over. And then yeah, I kind of don't do test knitting because I don't really have a big following, so I don't have a huge pool of people to test knit, like that, you know, I could ask to test knit. And some people just don't want to do it. I think there's other people that probably only test knit. And then tech editing is where somebody that's really familiar with knitting terms and patterns you will pay them to look over your pattern, and they will send it back and you'll go back and forth a little bit with some edits. But I don't make enough money yet from designing to pay to have all my patterns tech edited. So I just write the pattern and when it's done, I release it. And you know, so far I haven't had any problems. So yeah, I'm going to go and get this ready for release. But I'm so excited to show it off. I love it. It's big, it's cozy, but it's also super light, so it is really great for this transition period. This is something that I imagine Anne would wrap herself in going on a walk through Lover's Lane with Diana and Gilbert. That is why I called it the Lover's Lane shawl. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. Cannot wait. And yeah, that is about it. I am going to work on my sweater, work on my crocheted shawl and my cross stitch, and who knows, might have another pattern or project cast on in the next 2 weeks, but we'll see. And I'll be back here in 2 weeks to do another podcast and show you my progress on my projects. So yeah, if you want to find this pattern, this is the Lover's Lane shawl. It'll be on Ravelry, Lovecrafts, and avonleaknits.com.